In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. A good thing too, you may think, at this time of social distancing. It's also a time when people of different faiths are pulling together. Let's think for a minute of Muslims who are now in the middle of Ramadan and facing the same kind of issues, not being able to meet at the end of the day, as we do and did during Lent. The Archbishop of Canterbury has sent a message to Muslims at this time of Ramadan. And when we think of Muslims in the heart of this coronavirus, we remember that the first 4 doctors in the NHS to die were all Muslims. I used to work for Christian Aid, and on one occasion I went to Bangladesh and was taken round by the key development worker of the Church of Bangladesh, a man who was very expert and a fascinating guide, really encouraging the work that he was doing, and he turned out to be a devout Muslim. And the contact with Muslims for me has been personal too recently. My mum died at the end of last year, and we had a number of Muslim friends who assured us that she and we were in their prayers. We, Christians and Muslims, are in this together. Yet in this passage from the Gospel, we also heard, "No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus saying, "No one comes to the Father except through me." Well, what's that about? Sounds as though he's dismissing people of other faiths. Well, in this, the context is all important. Jesus wasn't speaking to people of other faiths, quite the opposite. In fact, he was speaking to his disciples. And they were pressing Jesus about what's going to happen, what's the way of life we're to follow, and above all, who God is. "Lord, show us the Father, and we shall be satisfied," says Philip. And in reply, Jesus is emphasizing, perhaps rather exasperated, that since they've seen him, they know what the Father is like. "God is like me," he is saying. "You know me, so you know what the Father is like. God is like me." And if we think of God as like Jesus, then God must be loving. God must love and value everyone. And surely then God must show himself to everyone, albeit in different ways. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. The 14th century Persian Muslim poet Hafiz wrote, "I am in love with every church and mosque and temple and any kind of shrine, because I know it's there that people say the different names of the one God." But is any shrine okay? No. No, that's what Jesus is talking about. The test is whether God is like Jesus, whether God is perceived as love. When Muslims put their lives at risk in the NHS, we salute their faith as well as their commitment. When the Church of Bangladesh's Muslim development worker supports Rohingya refugees, we are proud of our joint endeavour. That's the way, says Jesus, the way of love. Follow me. There's a poem by Alice Meynell, which Sue is going to read. Alice Meynell was a writer in the early 20th century who became a Catholic and was a strong supporter of votes for women, but who suffered also from depression and migraine. And she wrote a poem called simply, I Am the Way.